is like a...
welcome, my brother Will.
Hey,
welcome.
peace, all. I'm still well in from this trance. I'm just coming in from New York. But I like to also introduce the moon. I like it because it's like a transitory planet vibration. The meaning, in other words, in everyday sense, wherever the moon is in a particular sign, I find the individual right now is in Aries, that they'll probably be the one that's always in active or movement in that day. It's like a day if they have like Aries rising through. The moon brings like a lot of activity, day-to-day activity that the moon does too, and in contact with the public. So I like that too. And also on the emotional thing, I like that with your touch base and everything like that. The family, which is also representational symbolically, the moon brings that kind of family energy where the family members may be a little bit more outspoken than what you would think about, or quick to react to certain things, and then actually looking at it from a reserved point. Aries actually gets to the point, like you guys say, but it is kind of confrontational, so that can be a point where things can go out a little bit overboard, that kind of things too. And it's a great time also, if it was the weather conducive to that, to really get out and outside sports, because it does also deal with the public, be involved with transit. In that particular day, people are trying to move a little extra fast, or trying to get to their point a little bit faster there too. That's the emotional thing that I think I like about too, about the moon and energy. Just a little tidbit.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It looks like all heads are accounted for, aside from Brother Reese. We're still waiting for him right now. Okay, but the moon in Aries, because the moon represents the instincts in humanity. It represents your first subconscious emotional response. Then, as the moon moves, even police stations for the longest are one of the first people to notice. Whenever the moon is full, whenever we're having a full moon, there are more people locked up. People who work in hospitals take notice to the fact that whenever the moon is full, there are, regardless of the sign it is in, there are more people checking into the emergency ward. So, scientifically, we can elaborate on the fact that the moon causes the tides to rise and fall as a push and pull effect on all the water on this earth. Now, for those of you who don't know, you're 75% water, basically. So the moon has an effect on you. And it's not something that you're going to feel like you feel the breeze, okay? But it's something that you feel emotionally and psychologically. Some days you wake up and it's a good morning, you get in the shower, and as soon as you get out of the shower, you're like, man, I don't even feel like going to work today. But you didn't feel like that when you woke up, because the moon now has moved. In the course of 1 hour, it moves a half of a degree. In the course of 2 hours, it moves 1 degree in the sky. So, we have to take into account exactly how the public needs to perceive what the moon does, too. It affects your emotion. Yeah, it affects your emotion.
Oh, yeah. So definitely, I think tomorrow will be Monday or Moon Day. With the carryover of Moon and Aries, I would expect that spontaneous little action going on tomorrow. With the heat day of the week, for those who may not be aware, are named after planets. They may be in the skies by the certain, prefixes, Wednesday and so forth, Tuesday, but Friday and all that, they're named after particular planets. And tomorrow, Monday, and it's one of the, cliche they say is a moody Monday, and people just trying to say, oh, it's Monday morning, that's the mood thing going on. That's the moon energy, the primal also that I like about the moon. It's also in contact with your primal instinct, and that moon in Aries brings that kind of energy out. You may want to just feel like I feel like I'm really hungry. I may just really want to get something. I can't, get the impatience. It can be the order of the day to get around there too as well. And I think also the psychological point too. The moon in Aries, the person, how they perceive their first mother, or whoever that may be, being birth mother or whoever raised them up, for their contact. But we can go back to the natal, to actually the birth, to the fetus week. That's also a moon point too. And they perceive that particular first impression, that woman, like you said, or mother, grandma. They're all through their particular life will perceive that kind of impatience, or that kind of outspokenness and so forth, that strong independent streak, and maybe I have to carry the load more for herself. You see the woman or the mother may be dominant, because we go into masculine signs and feminine signs, and Mars is a masculine sign, and it tends to bring out that kind of more up in your face type of attitude too, as well as a moon in Aries. You're most likely to see people be confrontational, even out of the blue, because that's that lunatic thing. I think you got also about the moon, the full moon. That's where the term comes from, lunatic, as well. Influencing the moon, and also the hemorrhaging, blooding or bleeding at sometimes is more applicable at a full moon than a new moon. And also, which I know is interesting for people is from the old ways or old school, what you have it. They also tell you that when they cut in here, they usually cut it during the new moon because the moon is increasing in light. That as well, planting under the new moon because the increasing cycle. So there's a lot to do with that rhythmatic thing of the moon, which is also about rhythm. With that, too, is the tides and tides, time and tides, with the rhythmatic thing. And people with strong moons, and they have that rhythmatic introduction to life, as far as that, too. Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, because Aries, now we're talking about the moon in Aries, all right? And natally, whenever I notice the moon in Aries, one of the first things I say is that Aries describes the mother. But Aries is the sign of self.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the moon is in Aries, it describes the mother. So Aries would be the armor or the costume that would describe the mother in the play. And Aries being the sign of self, being the sign of impulse, being the sign of initiative, would say that here was a woman who liked to initiate things, who liked to get things started, who really wasn't very patient. So the easiest delineation, or the easiest definition of the moon in Aries, his mother was a hothead, and she was very short-tempered, and she was all about self-preservation. And that usually gives a very strong affirmation,
Yes. For sure.
So, what are some of the things that y'all would say, seeing the moon in Aries and delineating itself?
Well, I like to say also another thing, too, for those who may have viewed or Chris, who hates Chris, or everybody hates Chris, excuse me, look at the mother in the family, even because also this going back to the masculine energy of Mars and leadership. And you see, even though the father is the breadwinner and everything, but you see the kind of mother is more the kind of the role model, tries to get everything on order, instructions. She kind of like pushes things her way, and if she don't, she actually yells, and you see that fiery come out there. And that would be like a vivid a description of a moon in Aries type of individual or a person who has that moon and thing. We give that kind because it's like art imitates life, and you can see certain scenarios and people and characters through the film industry too, and they give it more of a more realistic thing where everybody can relate to as well.
Yeah, I would say that the moon in Aries definitely brings also martial activity, fighting in an aggressive nature that was already explained here. But I want to open up a little bit more, and not only does the moon have effect on the tides and everything like that we're speaking of, but at the time that one is born, the moon is a certain distance. I think Will spoke about whether you're born at a new moon or a full moon. The snapshot when you were born, the snapshot picture was either growing in light or was either decreasing in light. Right now in the transiting skies, the moon is increasing in energy. I think that this is like a chapter in, as far as looking at this aspect of the moon and its cycles, as far as what type of emotions that one usually expresses as far as their natal chart and their temperament, as far as their personal nature. It really depends when you're looking at degrees and distances. It's not only that the moon affects the tides, but it's the degrees apart that the moon is to the sun or to other planets. I want to add that we're talking about the science of cosmophysics, and it's not just the sun and the moon, but it's all 10 of the planets. We're used to looking at the horoscopes in the paper, which are not horoscopes at all, because a horoscope is an hourly view. But just to give everybody, to open up a little bit more that it's more of a calendric system that we're looking at. Direct correlation to your individual being. And when you look at your natal chart or your birth chart based on the time, date of birth, you can have a understanding of the tides and the moods and the high tides and the low tides within yourself. This is why people consult an astrologer or look to an ephemeris to find out the degrees, to understand how what's happening above also manifests and applies and correlates to the individual.
All right, let me interject right now. We're getting ready to go to a commercial break, y'all.
All right. Pay the bill.
We'll be back on time. So we can get paid and pay our bills.
Every form has a vibration of its own. The whole existence is a vibration as far as the science is concerned, isn't it? You know this? So this vessel is a certain kind of vibration. Naturally, it's emanating a certain field around itself. Objects around you can influence you. So if this vessel can influence you, definitely the huge planets, they must be exerting some kind of influence on you.
Dude, 5580, sun was in Taurus, gave me the voice, I was born to record this. Scorpio rising, I was born to explore this, my life fell deeper. Born with 12 teachers, planets are the notes, broadcast to 12 speakers. Neptune, Sagittarius, I'm a big dreamer. Sag in the second, cash is expected. Traveling the globe or in cap with the message. Observe that I'm cold with submerged in commotion. Lunar Capricorn, I'm reserved with emotion. Fourth house where the air begins, where my soul roots are buried in. Plus my old derps in the Caribbean, figuring my kids out. Eating fish in my fifth house, I create art to pass gifts out. Aries in the sixth, I'm quick to serve others. Mercury and Taurus, my words are like numbers. I love to think, write so well, I'm on some other ink. Venus, Gemini, Tahuti, I'm yours truly. My words is pure beauty that rise while the others sink. Cancer in the ninth, I'm at home when I'm learning. Saturn in the 10th, so I know I'm determined. I know I'm deserving. Precise with it, maybe Mars, Jupiter conjunct. You won't like when I'm angry. 11th house Pluto, I change the group's thinking. Libra in the 12th, relate or keep sinking. The God those lyrics, these classes don't quit it. The path is so scripted, the masses don't get it till they start studying their cosmophysics.
We come to understand that it is what you call planetary vibration. The sun emits energy throughout the solar system. Each planet being made up of its own substance channels that or refracts energy towards the Earth. This is what gives us the currents and the energy to possess different factors. You, as a recipient of it, control it all. So you can decide now to speak and use that energy to speak, or you can decide not to, so you control it. However, you don't control it to the degree whether you possess it or don't possess it. Dispossess yourself of a thought. You can't even do that. You can't even stop thinking. So the energy is constantly running through the universe and through your own physical form. It's really live, yeah, you know. And it's going to get liver, all right? Those people who want to call in, they need to dial this number. 408-600-2726. I'm going to say it again. You know, 408-600-2726. And tonight we're doing relationship readings. So, you know, get your birth date together and get the date of your significant other, and we're going to go in on that, you know, because all this jogging, I know y'all don't like it, and we're getting each other's asses behind the scenes, you know, trying to tell each other to break it down to the lowest compound, you know, so number one, that you remain interested, but number two, so that you can be educated, you know, really, so you can be educated, you know. So, we left off, Marku was expounding on the moon, in Aries, and so let's pick back up, because that's what the moon is right now.
Well, I'm going to speak on how there are 4 elements, okay? There's fire, earth, air, and water. The moon is the fastest moving body, the moon moves through each sign approximately